That was fast. Isaac swallowed his laugh and the, "You don't know the half of it," he wanted to say. "Yes. Do you know Tobias Warren?" "The oil guy?" "Yes, she's his daughter-in-law." "Didn't I hear that his son had died? Of fire or something?" Isaac gave him a curt nod. "Yes, Maggie is a widow." "Didn't I also hear that they suspected the daughter-in-law of starting the fire?" Ty leaned forward. "Are you sure she's the best one for the job?" No, he wasn't sure at all that Maggie was the best person to be his PA, but it had nothing to do with the fire rumors. She had nothing to do with the fire that killed her husband. Even if he'd thought it possible she did, a letter from their insurance company had been on her table, along with those piles of stock certificates. The letter informed Maggie that following a lengthy investigation, arson had been ruled out as a cause for the fire, and it was their expert's opinion that the root cause was faulty wiring. Also on the table was a letter to Maggie from her mother-in-law, telling her they didn't care what the insurance company said. They held her responsible for both the fire and Ellis's death. Isaac had heard friends talk about how they didn't get along with their in-laws, but none of them sounded as bad as the Warrens. "Have you already worked it with IT to get her all set up and access to what she needs?" Ty asked. "Yes, I took care of all that before you arrived." Ty chuckled. "Have you been here since 5? "Something like that. 5:15 to be exact." "The other thing I wanted to discuss with you, and the main reason I asked you to come in early, is that I was wondering if you were going to rejoin the club since you're back in town." Ty and Isaac had been members of the club since graduating from college. It was a private BDSM club with few people knowing of its existence. Members of the club were even fewer. Lance had never wanted to join, preferring to play at his house. Ty's membership, inactive since he'd been living in London, would be reactivated at his request. Ty sucked in a breath. "Does she go?" There was no need to ask which he meant. He only got the lost and haunted look in his eye when talking about his ex-wife. "No," Isaac told him. "At least not that I've ever seen." Ty nodded but didn't ask any further questions. "I think," he said, "that I could handle almost anything other than seeing Lillian play with another dom." "She's not dating anyone I'm aware of." Isaac had probably kept her too busy for her to have much of a social life while she worked for him. He hadn't thought about it at the time, but she'd never said anything about all the hours he'd asked her to work. Would Maggie be the same? Was Maggie seeing anyone? He didn't even try to pretend like he didn't care. He did. And what was even more improbable to understand was how he felt the need to protect her. From her in-laws and all those people who thought she had something to do with her husband's death. Maybe it was the dominant in him. "What made you bring up the club?" Ty asked. "I'm going to ask Maggie if she'll mind keeping up with my schedule there as well," Isaac told him. "Lillian always did, and Maggie's a widow, so it's not like she's a virgin or anything. If you'd like, she could also keep up with yours." "I think that sounds like a perfectly good way to get smacked with a sexual harassment lawsuit." "It's not like I'm going to make it a condition of her employment. I'll ask if she would mind." Ty leaned forward. "She's your employee. It's not enough to ask her if she'll mind. She could still say she felt coerced. Besides, just saying she's not a virgin isn't the same as saying she's kinky. She could be vanilla." His partner had a point, but it had been so helpful when Lillian kept up with his entire schedule. Not only that, but when Maggie teased him the night before about liking to command people, he got the impression she wasn't totally vanilla. "Maybe I'll just say there are meetings after work I need her to keep up with. I'm sure I can word it in such a way that won't let on to exactly what it is I'm doing." Ty looked at him for several long seconds.